in progress. All right. Sorry for that interruption. Go ahead, Yunji.
Yeah, no problem. Also, hi, future people, whoever winds up watching this in the future. Let's see. So just to get back to it, so we're going to start with ChatGPT. And as I mentioned before, ChatGPT has been through a few iterations up until now. And for those of you who are new to ChatGPT, it's what's called a natural language processing tool. So the natural language processing tool is powered through artificial intelligence technology, as you would know. And the idea is that by talking with it, as you put messages into it, down here below you see message ChatGPT, you can put your own words into it, and then it will reply with kind of more human-like conversation. And so it'll answer back in a more complex manner than your average search engine can. So instead of just like typing into Google and then just getting an output of a bunch of results, you're actually having a conversation with this tool. And yeah, there are many more things that ChatGPT itself is capable of in its full extent. It has more power. But for the sake of this exercise, it's going to be the tool that we're going to use to generate our Valentine's Day poem. So we're going to use it for the sake of creativity. And even here, you can also see, right off the bat, ChatGPT starts off asking, like, how can I help you today? And it gives you some ideas of where you can get started. Like, for instance, give me ideas. And then underneath, for what to do with my kids' art, just to give you a little bit of thought process behind, how you should talk with it. And there's tons of documentation out there from all sorts of different sources that use ChatGPT on a daily basis. So there's that. So to get started, what are some topics we want this poem to be about? I'm going to leave it up to all of you. Please shout out some ideas. What is this poem about?
Well, clearly love.
Yeah. Maybe Cupid.
Okay, so we got love, we got Cupid, and you can see I'm writing it in the form of a sentence. And one of the things that I'd like for people to know is that the more specific that you get, the more interesting the generations become. So it's always important to involve very, very specific words. I see we got Valentine's Day.
Chocolate, I saw.
Chocolate. Friends connecting. Okay.
How
Lush
about
garden.
millennials?
Millennials. Caring and sharing. Okay. Got anything else? Or do we feel good? Cool.
Yeah.
Caring and sharing. Okay. So now that we've done that, it's just as simple as hitting this lovely button at the bottom. It says send message. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And already, right off the bat, it's spat out an entire poem called Love's Garden Blooms. And you can see the title right here under today on the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and read this. So, in the realm of hearts, where Cupid weaves his art, Valentine's Day unfolds, a love-infused start. Arrows fly with a gentle thrust, binding souls in a sweet, eternal trust. Chocolates wrapped in ribbons of delight, a symphony of flavors, a tempting bite. Friends connecting, laughter in the air, love celebration beyond compare. In a lush garden where blooms abound, millennials wander, love stories surround. Texts and emojis, expressions so sweet, modern love in every heartbeat. Caring whispers in the gentle breeze, two souls entwined with such ease. Sharing dreams under the moonlit sky, love's journey a thrilling high. Cupid, with a mischievous grin, guides hearts as the dance begins. Arrows strike with a magical touch, igniting passions that mean so much. Friends unite like petals unfold, love's tapestry, a story to be told. In this garden where emotions grow, seeds of affection in abundance sow. So on this day, let love cascade, a symphony of joy, a serenade. Chocolates, friends, and hearts so true, Valentine's magic, a love that grew.
Your child must love you. Yunji.
Thank you.
You'd be a great storyteller.
I'm also a dungeon master for D&D, if anybody's ever interested. But all that to say, we made that together, friends. Look at this beautiful poem, and we did it just like that. So, with this poem, let's say that we wanted to modify the poem a little bit, or maybe we wanted to create something new, but we want it to have a different voice. We can go back up. So when you scroll back up the page, you can go back to the top and find your prompt. So you can highlight it and give it a copy. You can paste it back down here under message ChatGPT. Let's scroll back down. And let's come up with a voice. So let's try some sort of personality type. What generation are they from? Are they a millennial? What do they sound like? Let's try to take this same poem and do it again in that voice. So let's throw some ideas out there in the chat once again.
I think they sound like poets.
It sounds like what?
Poets.
In Brad Pitt's voice? I see in Brad Pitt's voice. There's that too. Let's see. In the voice of Brad Pitt as a poet. Okay. Do we want to add any other descriptors for this? Who's creating this poem? Let's think about that. I'll give it another second.
See, Nisar put poets down in the chat after.
Yeah, I've added that. So it's in the voice of Brad Pitt as a poet. In a Shakespearean tone.
Love it.
With chocolate kisses. Please create a poem about love. Okay, so we're going to do this again.
Steve
time traveler.
said time traveler.
As a time traveling poet. All right, cool. Anything else before I move on? Going. All right, we're going to generate this. Here we go. So we've added some descriptors. Oh, already we've got hark at the first word. Let's check it out. So now, hark in the vast expanse of temporal sway. I, a time-traveling poet, weave a verse today. In the dulcet tones of Shakespearean might, a tale of love and Cupid's tender flight. Upon this day where hearts entwine, Valentine's embrace, a love so fine. Chocolate kisses, sweet ambrosial bliss, a treat that seals love's cherished kiss. Friends like stars in the night's array, connect in bonds that time won't sway. In the lush garden of passion's delight, millennials dance, love taking flight. Caring whispers ride the winds so fair, Shakespearean sonnets fill the air, sharing dreams beneath the moon's soft glow, love's tapestry, an eternal flow. Cupid, with bow and arrow so keen, guides the dance of the unseen, hearts aflame with love's consuming fire, an ageless spark, a burning pyre. So let the verses of this bard unfold, a tale of love in days of old. In chocolate's sweetness and friendship's true, a timeless tale of caring and sharing through and through. Wonderful job, everybody.
Yeah, fantastic.
Beautiful.
What I don't understand is the influence of Brad Pitt's voice.
Right. So that will happen every so often. And so what you'd probably want to do is, as you're creating these generations, you might want to generate several versions for yourself. So theoretically, I could put this prompt in again and see what else it generates and see if it pulls more of Brad Pitt's voice into it. Or it could also just be that the Shakespearean aspect of it is so strong that it's kind of overtaking the entire prompt. So you might want to remove the word Shakespeare and then just see what it sounds like as Brad Pitt, right? And then use those as ideas, as ways to intermingle the two ideas together. Or another thing that you can do. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, Yunji, I apologize. I just want to ask who suggested that, and did he or she mean his nature or literally his voice? I assume more his nature or his essence.
Yeah, I think the suggestion came from Muhammad.
Well, I thought it was going to be Prince's voice, but it looks like it wasn't.
Got it, Mohammed. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and you know, when it comes to these prompts, of course, it's never going to get it 100% correct every time. And sometimes what you'll want to do also is rearrange the ordering of words as well. I've noticed that a lot of these AI programs, if you have words that are further to the back, it'll stop pulling as much data from that as it would the stuff from the very beginning. In this case, it was a little odd because it turned everything into Shakespeare, right? So, you know, like I said, my suggestion would be in this case would be to take the word Shakespeare out, generate a new poem. And then what you could even do to take it a step further is say like, okay, I have this poem, and then you paste the poem. And then you would make a new line and you say, and I also have this poem. You'd paste the other poem. Can you synthesize these two poems together in a way that makes sense? And then see what else it could output. So you can make little formulas like that for yourself to see what it could possibly generate. Those are really good questions. And then also, if you don't like what it output, there's this lovely little button right here. And when you hover over it, it says bad response, and you can click on it to say, that's not what I wanted. And that actually trains the AI over time to start thinking a little bit more about, you know, how it's outputting things, and to start creating answers that are a little closer to what it is you're expecting. And then also, to talk about the other two buttons here. So the button on the far left here, once you've created your poem, you can click on the copy button, and that copies the entire poem. And next to it is this kind of like recycle looking button. That's to regenerate. So you can use the same prompt again by clicking on regenerate. So if I do that right now, you can see that it's 2 of 2. So this is the second version of the poem, which I'm not going to go through that whole thing, but you can see already it's giving us Brad Pitt again, but not in his voice necessarily, but the character is Brad Pitt. So hark, 'tis I, Brad Pitt, the bard of time. So hopefully, Muhammad, you got that happiness from seeing Brad Pitt's name in there this time. A little bit of dopamine kick from that. But if you wanted to go back to your old poem, let's say, we can click back, and it's at the very, very bottom. You can see 1 out of 2, and then there's arrows to move you back and forth to 2 out of 2. And the more you generate it, the higher that number goes. Does anybody have any questions about this before I move on?
How would you go about like decreasing the length or changing the style of the poem?
Right. So in that case, what you can do is, let me use an example. So let's say I wanted to make a haiku about this. So I would say, please take the previous prompt and create a haiku based on it, let's say. So hopefully it will generate a small haiku now. So you can see chocolate kisses, Cupid's arrow finds its mark, love blooms, timeless spark. And if you have different styles of poems, you can also tell it like, hey, can you create a shorter poem? Or, you know, can you create a poem with 3 stanzas or something like that? And then it will take that knowledge and then think about it and then try to generate that thing. It's not a foolproof method. It doesn't always happen that way, but you can keep pushing ideas onto it until it finally gets the answer. Any other questions?
Yunji, Steve did note that in the chat that in AI you can weigh certain factors So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, you can. And if you're ever interested in seeing how to weigh things greater than others, like I mentioned before, there's tons and tons of documentation out there for ChatGPT, especially of different types of formulas, like verbal formulas that you can use to gather the type of answers that you're looking for. Cool. Okay, so all that to say, as you can see, the more specific we're getting with our details, the more interesting the output can become. And, like I said, it's not always going to get it right. But the point is that we can use our human intuition to tweak that language and then change the writing to be our desired outcome. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to go share another screen. So we're going to go over to this lovely page. And now that we've got a bit of a poem and a story, I want to have us pull the parts of the poem into a generator. And this generator is called Leonardo AI. It's similar to something like Midjourney, if you've ever heard of it. But Leonardo AI is a platform that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to generate game assets. But all that to say, we can also use our credits to generate high quality artificial intelligence images. So I won't be going over the game asset section of it today. I'm just going to be focusing on the images. But for those of you who'd like to try it out, all you have to do is go to leonardo.ai in your browser, and it's free to join with your Google account or other preferred methods of choice. So you can create it on the front page here. And then once you've created your account, you can always go back by clicking on Launch App on the top right-hand side of the screen, and then log in that way. But to start, once you log in, you're going to see a Get Started page, which I'm going to open that up as well. And so let me actually go back one. So we're going to be on this Get Started page, and it'll give you a whole bunch of different things that you can do. So you can see this Leonardo AI can create image generation. Real-time canvas is where you have a canvas that you draw on, and you'll give it a prompt, and it will generate an image to the right that's based on the shapes that you're making. The Canvas editor allows you to edit and remove unwanted elements in your pictures after you've created your AI work. So that's a little more advanced for some folks. And then also motion, which is really cool because once you've generated images with Leonardo AI, you can tell it to move or be animated, and you can save these videos as like video snippets and stuff. So I know that someone was talking about creating some sort of like AI comedy show. This might be an option for you if that's something that you're interested in. So let's see here. So from there, we're just going to click on image generation, which is on the left-hand column under user tools. So from the top, you'll see Leonardo AI, user tools, image generation. And you can see that we have a new column now, and we have a different page. This is the AI image generation page. And each image that's created will have what's called a credit price. And you'll always start at 150 credits, which you can see right up here. If you upgrade, you get more credits depending on your level of subscription. But 150 credits is quite a bit. You can get a lot of leverage with that. And this team is constantly experimenting with new ways of manipulating and generating images. And so, they'll give away some of their premium things for free for like a month, let's say, and you can test it out for a month and try different things out. But the general idea is that the more complex the image and the more complex the generator, the more credits you have to use. But for this case, we're going to start by creating 4 images all at once. And then we're going to keep Photoreal and Alchemy off for now. Alchemy creates higher quality, higher fidelity images, but for the sake of this demonstration, we're just gonna leave that off for now. And then, we're going to also note that free accounts make all images public here. So if you're wondering why that's grayed out, if you're on a free account, any image that you create will wind up in the public channel so that people can see them publicly. And when that happens, they can also see what prompts you're using. And you can also learn a lot from other people who are generating as well. So as you get to know Leonardo AI, you can also check in and see what other people have made for inspiration. We're going to stick to the default image dimension. So, they're saying that the selected model has been trained at 1024 by 768. What that means is pixel dimensions. So it's the size of your image by pixel height and width. So let's do 1024 by 768. And then we have advanced controls here, like we can change aspect ratios if we want to, but we're going to leave that here because we've already added a preset. But if you wanted to put in your own pixel dimensions for whatever reason, you absolutely can. And depending on how big the image is can also affect how many credits that whole thing will cost. The guidance scale is also how strongly your prompt is weighted versus the model itself. So if you want your prompt to weigh really, really heavy on the model, then you can pull that slider up. But, like I said, for the sake of this presentation, we're just going to keep everything default just so that we can see how the thing works natively. So I'm going to go back to our little haiku. I'm going to copy our haiku, and then I'm going to bring it in as the prompt. So we have chocolate kisses, we have Cupid's arrow finds its mark, we have love blooms, and timeless spark. And the model that we're using here is Leonardo Diffusion XL. If we click into here, you can also see that they have different types of models that you can play with as well. So if you like anime, you might choose like Anime Pastel Dreams to get an anime looking image. If you wanted to go back in time and try to use like old school stable diffusion to get that aesthetic back, then you can work with that. The sky is really the limit here. But for the sake of this, we'll go with Leonardo Diffusion XL. There's also different styles that could be had. Right now, all we have is either Leonardo style or we have none. And then there's also elements, but we're going to leave that blank. And I will talk about negative prompts in a minute, but for now, we're just going to take this and then we're just going to generate the image, which this will use 11 tokens to make 4 pictures. So here we go. So now if we scroll down, you can see that this number is going up. That means it's generating the image. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And as it takes its time, you'll see, here's our first image already. So we have our chocolate kisses. Looks like it's also added a raspberry in there and some flowers. So that's fun. We have a beautiful chocolate cake. Wow, that looks really tasty. Really like that. That's really cool. So, let's say that, our poem gets turned into a song or something like that. Then we could do that. I see a hand up in the chat. EJ. Did you have anything, any question? I see that you're muted as well. No? I don't know if we've lost her. Oh, I see it unmuted. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and move on. If you wanted to put your question in the chat, that works too, if your audio is not working. But yeah, so we have this beautiful chocolate cake, got some hearts, chocolate kisses, all those things. Let's look at another one. Here's another sort of chocolate kiss, and some of them are even wrapped, which is kind of fun. And another cake. So there we go. Awesome. But let's say that we don't want cake. You know, what if cake is not something that we want to have? So what we can do is we can scroll back up to the top. And it keeps our prompt up here, which is really nice. It remembers the last prompt that you used, so you never have to worry about like re-inputting it every single time. If we click on this add negative prompt, we can type what we don't want to see. So I'm going to put cake in here. That's definitely one thing I don't want to see. Is there anything else we don't want to see? Does anybody want to give some ideas? Or maybe some ideas of what we do want to see that's added to this? Gonna give everybody a minute.
Maybe a background of heart.
A background of heart.
Yeah,
So do we want to see a heart background or do we not want to see a heart background?
yeah. I
So
think we should.
okay. So let's see. A background with hearts. Okay. What else? What do we not want to see? Let's add some of those. We could also add colors. So, you know, let's say that we don't want to see, I don't know, the color pink. So we can put pink.
No fruit.
Let's say, what was that?
No fruit.
No
raspberries.
fruits. Okay. No fruits. No raspberries. Okay. Cool. So now that we've done that, I'm also going to do a fun thing here where we can also add some character qualities to this. So for instance, if you wanted to make this an ultra high definition, ultra high resolution image, let's even call it an illustration, and we can see what gets generated from that. So let's go ahead and click on generate. And now it should generate 4 more images. Cool. So already we've got hearts in the background and we're focusing more on the chocolate. We've got Cupid's arrow in there this time, which is super awesome. Got some chocolate in the foreground. And as you can see, we've already pulled out a lot of that pink. So the pink is no longer there. Got this beautiful heart. I like this heart rendering made out of chocolate. Oh, we've got eggs this time. That's pretty cool. Some leaves. And we've got a blue chocolate heart. So awesome. Okay. So we're going to do this one more time. Does anybody have any sort of ideas on things they'd like to add to give it a visual quality? Any colors we want to see? Any art styles we might want to see?
May we see black?
All right, so we're going to add black. Okay. I need like 2 more ideas. Let's throw some of that in there. And also, if you have a character or something like that, you might want to put in your negative prompt like no extra hands or, you know, no missing limbs, little things like that to just let it know that you don't want it to skew in the wrong direction.
Maybe adding Cupid with arrows.
Okay, I'm going to put that closer to the front since that's a character. Cupid with arrows. Okay. Anything else? We could do, let's see. let's go with we could make, how about holographic? That's like an image quality. So we could do holographic, ultra high def, ultra high resolution. We'll be silly and add 4K resolution. And for some things that we might not want to see, let's take a look at this again. So no bent arrows, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we want a straight arrow, and maybe it'll generate an arrow that isn't bent. But since we put the word arrows in here, there's a chance that we might not see arrows at all. So that's kind of interesting. All right, cool. So we're going to generate that one more time. Cool. And as you can see here, it saves all of your prompts here. And you can always go back and, see what you did in the past. So if you remember like, oh, I remember making this one thing and it was really nice. You can copy your old prompts and use them again. So yeah, we got straight arrows. Hey, check it out. Beautiful heart with a really sparkly background. We've got hearts in the background with an arrow going straight through it. Got some angel wings, so that's interesting. We have another one right here. Beautiful heart with some flowers and seems like gold flecks of some kind. And a little more on the simple side, but, simple but evocative. Got some arrows going through there. Cool. So out of the first 4, what do we all like most? Just put in the chat like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me go back and show them again. So this one is option 1. This is option 2. This is option 3. And this is option 4. Let's choose our favorite one. I see a 1, got a 2, got another 1, another 2. Ooh, it's a race. What's going to win, 1 or 2? Got a 3. Oh my goodness. Another 3. Oh my goodness. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and use 1 for the sake of time. So let's see here. If I can take a look at this here. Let's check this out. I'm going to check something very quickly. So with each image, you can upscale your image from something really small. So let's say that you really liked your picture and you want AI to bring the quality and the resolution really, really high. You can upscale. So that's an option. You can also copy the seed that it used. So what a seed is every AI image that's generated has like a code or its own sort of DNA that sits behind everything. And so it'll use the seed and then it'll use your prompt to generate a picture from scratch. And so if you find that you really like how that particular seed made your image look, you can copy that seed and then use that. So that's really interesting. And then also, I don't know that I can show you the video creation aspect of it today, but Leonardo AI does have the capability for you to go through and look through your images and then turn it into a moving video. So there is that. Let me see if I can actually do this through motion. Okay, can we go through? Select an image from recent images. Okay, cool. So we're gonna choose one from this. So let me actually go back. So the way that I got there from the image generation page is that there's this little arrow with a line on it at the very top left. It should be right next to the Leonardo AI icon that's right there, and that will close that page out. It'll take you back to the top, and where it says get started here, you can click on what's called motion. And when you click on motion, it'll give you this little pop-up, and you can source your image. You can either pick an image from your computer, or you can select it from recent images that you've generated. So in here, you can see the 4 most recent images that we've made. So I'm going to click on this first picture. And if I want the motion strength to be like really fast or really strong, we're going to pull that all the way up to a 10 because we're being generous today. And it will take 25 credits. So I'm going to spend 25 credits to animate this thing. Cool. So now it is generating, and you can see that it's a motion image because it has the motion graphic showing up here right next to our prompt. And it is going to take some time. As you can see, it's only at 20%. So while we wait for that, does anybody have any sort of questions about what we've gone through so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are the credits redeemable every day?
Yes. So you get 150 credits per day. And as you go through your 150 credits, once you get low enough, like I said, each image costs a certain amount of credits. So you might get to a point where you still have some credits left, but you can't use them for, what do you call it? You might not be able to use it for the thing that you're trying to do necessarily, but if you create an image that costs less credits, then you can use the rest of your credits that way. Are copyrights concerned? Who will get the credit for this image? So that's an interesting topic, and it's very controversial in the industry, especially now, because no matter what you do, you always want to make sure that you're doing everything as ethically as possible, and you want to make sure that you pick platforms that are ethically sourced. But also, I have to mention, regardless of whether the images are ethically sourced or not, I would just really want people to consider, what they're using the tool for and how they're using the tool. Just like how any artist, when they first start to learn, they learn tips and tricks from other artists. And, sometimes part of learning is also, tracing over other people's artwork just so that you can see and understand how they did the thing that they did. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like AI in a generative way is kind of learning from a lot of that right now. And the big mistake is trying to turn a lot of that stuff commercial right off the bat. I think that, depending on your use case and what it is you need those things for, everyone should always be careful and do as much research as possible on the types of models that they're using, how those models are being sourced, like where they're getting that information from, who those, what do you call it? You don't want to, let's say, put in something like Final Fantasy style, right, into that, because, by doing that, you don't want to, take their aesthetic, let's say, because that's their copyright, right? So whenever you do make any sort of generative prompt, to be hyper aware of yourself as well, to not add things like that, and just do your best to avoid those kinds of things. I don't know if that answers your question, but there are a lot of different places that are working to combat a lot of this stuff. This is a very big issue, and there needs to be more policy that's created on this. And I know that there has been a start, and a lot of people are still fighting for artist rights as well. So, if you do wind up using anything as an inspiration, to always make sure that you are providing that credit whenever credit is due. Yeah, no problem. Cool. So we can actually see, so it output an MP4 for us now. So if you've been able to see this, I'm going to enlarge it for us here. So in this case, it didn't do too much, but we do see that our background is flitting. And you might want to put it through this generator a couple of times. Sometimes if you have a subject, it'll move the subject for you and have it turn. So if you have a portrait, you might see the person's face move from left to right, or you might see, you know, something panning in or panning out, depending on, you know, how it decides to create that motion for you. So yeah, if you're interested in creating like little videos like this, then, you know, feel free to mess around, experiment, and try out new things. Cool. So we have our beautiful image, and it's animated now, and it illustrates our Valentine's poem very well, I think. We all did a great job coming up with ideas to go after that idea. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get AI to speak our haiku for us. So I'm going to move over to a new generator. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure I copy our haiku once again. And we're going to move on over to 11 Labs. So 11 Labs is wonderful in so many different ways. They also have a free plan as well. So just like Leonardo AI, you can sign up for an account and try it out for free, actually. Or, you know, if you're a little more dedicated to this and you want to really get into 11 Labs, you can also join in on their 80% discount on their starter plan. And that lasts for about like a month before you have to start paying full price, but it's a good way to get your feet wet if you wanted to try it out for a little while. But the great thing about 11 Labs is that they also have what's called API references, and you can use them in what's called WebSockets, and you can add those to your workflow. But what we're going to do for now with 11 Labs is relatively simple. So I'm going to drop our finalized haiku poem that we love so much right in here under text. And so I'm going to go ahead and paste that. So we have our text right here. Chocolate kisses, Cupid's arrow finds its mark. Love blooms, timeless spark. And now that we've got that, we'll start to mess with our settings here. So we're starting with text to speech. You can also do speech to speech. So if you've recorded yourself, let's say, you can use that recording and then have it synthesized with an AI voice. But since we don't have that, we're gonna do text to speech. And then from there, we're going to leave it on 11 multilingual version 2, which is the model, or in this case, the thing that creates the seed, right? There's also other versions of it as well. So you'll see previous versions like multilingual 1, 11 English, 11 Turbo. So you can feel free to experiment with that on your own time, but we're going to stick with multilingual V2. And then we have a name. Her name is Rachel, but we can look through this list by clicking on the down caret. So you'll see Rachel's name on the very left. If you look all the way to the right, there's a down arrow that you can click on. And when you click on that, you'll see different types of names and what they sound like. So in this case, we have professional voices, and there's 2 voices in here. One is Eliguar, Latin American Spanish, and the sound is American, excited, and advertisement, as opposed to Guilfoy, who is casual and conversational. So I'm just going to randomly scroll down a little bit, and we can just kind of pick something that we want to do. So I will go ahead and click on, let's see, we'll do, we can go with an Irish sailor who does video games. Their name is Finn. So I'm going to click on Finn. And then for voice settings, the same way that we access the settings here, we can click on voice settings and open up that drop-down menu. And you can see that there's different settings that we can toggle with sliders. So in here, we have stability. So we can pull the stability up to make the voice more stable. And increasing stability will make the voice more consistent between regenerations. It can also make it sound a bit monotone. On longer text fragments, you can lower the value so that it doesn't sound as robotic, because certain values, if you raise them too much, will start to degrade the quality of the voice. So usually you don't want to move those sliders too much. But depending on your needs and how you need to tweak the voice, you can always try regenerating those same voices in many different ways. So in this case, I'm just going to leave these settings as is. And then I'm going to close this out. We have our text here. So we'll double check our text to make sure it's exactly what we want. And there is also a quota on how many characters you can use. There is a maximum. So the maximum amount of characters that you can use in one shot is 5,000. In this case, we're only using 76. So we're going to go ahead and click on generate. And when we generate, it should create a voice for us. And
Chocolate
you might see,
Cupid's arrow finds its mark. Love blooms. Timeless spark.
So definitely, it sounds like, a different kind of Jacksepticeye. If anybody's familiar with him, got a little bit of that accent in there. Very much a gamer streamer voice. We can try something else as well, but I do want to note before I create another generation, you can see total quota remaining on the bottom. The quota is very similar to credits, right? But in this case, it's how many letters, how many characters are being used to get synthesized. So as you reach 0, very similar to how we've reached 0 on Leonardo AI on our credits, you want to be mindful of how many credits you're using here as well. So let's pick a different voice. So I'm going to go through. Is there another voice? As I'm scrolling through here, maybe we can choose another name.
I like the Latin.
The Latin one?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the Latin American Spanish, American Excited Advertisement. So we'll click on that. We're going to leave the voice settings as is, and we're going to hit generate. Let's hear what that sounds like.
Chocolate kisses. Cupid's arrow finds its mark. Love blooms. Timeless spark.
It's a very advertising. Let's try to pick one that's maybe like a storyteller. You might find one of those.
Right.
Yeah. So narrative story. We have Hannah, who's raspy. She's got British, raspy, and narrative story as her tags. So we'll do that and click generate.
Chocolate kisses, Cupid's arrow finds its mark. Love blooms, timeless spark.
She's a bit fast.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite fast.
Yeah. You can hear the different kinds of personalities that are pulling in as you're pulling in each voice. Here's an audiobook, American Warm audiobook. This is Matilda.
Chocolate kisses, Cupid's arrow finds its mark. Love blooms, timeless spark.
Cool. So yeah, depending on, what voices you use, you might find some that sound more realistic than others or might fit the type of writing that you have a little bit better than others. So it takes some playing with, but, if you're trying to create a narrative or, you want to be able to have a different voice that isn't yours to express some sort of character or idea without, needing to pitch up your own voice in a certain way, you can do that. And, just as a reminder too, like I said, you can do speech to speech. So if you have your own audio recording and you want to take your speech and then change it into something else, then you can play around with that as well. So, yeah, aside from these 3 programs that I showed to you today, All of these are accessible via browser, and they don't require external applications to use them. So there's that. But all that to say, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different kinds of AI applications out there that are just begging to be explored. And they have a myriad of capabilities that, even are far beyond, some of my own capabilities of understanding as well. People are creating these programs like hotcakes right now, because we're all exploring. This is the wild west of the virtual web and wild west of creativity. So, be an explorer, and when all working together and with human ingenuity at the wheel, there are so many amazing things that can be made and we can make. And just to bring that copyright concern and some of the more ethical questions about things, I think that people need to be asking those questions now more than ever, because as we are exploring all of these things, we want to make sure that when we're building these tools, we're providing the feedback that humanity needs so that we don't veer off on a path that we don't want to be on. You know what I mean? So
Right.
use it, but use it with a grain of salt and use it ethically, and do it in such a way that helps to enhance human experience rather than hinder it. So I hope all of you enjoyed this talk today. So I'll go ahead and open the floor to any questions that you might have, or if there's anything else that folks are needing to get answered. I see Nizarg asked, where do the voices come from? So the voices are actually synthesized from existing voices. So they'll take audio samples from different people. So if you went into their office, let's say, and then they would record your voice, and they'll use AI as a way to listen to all of those samples and then pick out your personality, your vocal personality from that matrix. And so as you put your text in there, it'll use that information, and then it'll add the seed, and then generate your text all into one big equation and output that as an audio file. So that's how those sounds are made. Mm-hmm.
So no private.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things about that. Cool. I see Jay has a hand up.
Hey, Yunji, and everyone. I just wanted to say big thanks for the presentation. It was so interesting to see all this. And I can't believe I had no idea about any of this 2 weeks ago. And it's crazy to think what'll come. I was on a call yesterday, and a quote I really liked that I wanted to share with the group was that, I don't know how true this is, but I liked it, which is that AI won't replace humans, but humans that use AI will outcompete humans that don't use AI. And that's something that I'm just keeping in the back of my mind going forward. Like even in just Googling things and everything,
Yeah.
That's a great, I think, point, Jay. And I think it will bear out as true over time.
Yeah, my sister uses Google to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was, I'd echo Jay's sentiments, Yunji. This was great and a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. And, if you ever have any sort of questions, or, let's say you're playing with Gen AI and, you want to get in contact with me at a future date, me and Nizarg and, Sarah, a lot of us are constantly over at the Verbella Open Campus. So, if you ever need to schedule some time to talk with me and hang out with me in the virtual cafe, I'm more than happy to help walk you guys through some things so you can learn more, or, you can show off all the cool things you made and I can ooh and ah at it, whatever it is. But I'm more than happy to just spend time with all of you. And I appreciate you all so much for letting me talk to you guys today.
This was great.
Yeah.
So to the group, our meeting next month is on campus of Verbella. ITKAN has space, and they've been very generous to us. We'd love everyone to join us, or if not next month, visit Verbella and come back to an ITKAN meeting. We love new members.
We'd really love to see everybody there.
Yeah, thank you, Yunji.
Yes, thank you. This really kind of piqued my curiosity.
Yeah, and then
Thanks.
also if you're looking for any additional resources and stuff, you know, people are posting in all sorts of groups on LinkedIn about these things as well. So, you know, my biggest advice to anybody who's really looking to get into AI is just to dive in, because there's so many different things that you could pop into, and there's no right or wrong answer of what you should learn first, because every tool has its own use, and you know, they each have their own odd strengths here and there. So just explore as much as possible, and then you'll find the tools that make the most sense to you. Just make sure that while you're doing it, you're just looking into their background, you're looking into how they're sourcing their data, and just make sure you're doing it in the most ethical ways possible.
Pat, if I could just, Larry, I just want to share a quick funny story, but it's a bit of a cautionary tale. At least it was funny to me. I had a colleague at a park district at the conference I mentioned earlier tell me that they had put together a simple flyer using AI for a senior citizens program. Because of the intuitive nature, the assumptive nature of AI, they unfortunately didn't proof it before they sent it out. And one of the lines was ability to work with cranky people.
I love it. Larry, that's funny.
So just, you know, humorous, but we do want to make sure we edit our work, right?
Right.
Just to cover our butts. So thank you all. This is wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Yunji, great job. A lot of fun.
Thank you so much. I hope you
Have
all have a
a
wonderful
great
week.
evening, everyone.
All right,
See you
too,
next
Pat.
time.
You too, everyone. Yep.
Bye. See
Bye.
you.